We recently learned that Al Jazeera English will be taking over current TV here in the U.S. We are now speaking with Ben Barrack, who's an investigative radio host and blogger who broadcasts from Texas. His columns have appeared everywhere from Pajamas Media, Human Events, Big Government, WorldNet Daily, and many, many others. The book is Unsung Davids, 10 Men Who Battled Goliath Without Glory. Ben, I read about your thoughts regarding Al Jazeera English buying current TV. You don't seem particularly thrilled about it. That's probably a bit of an understatement. Give me your sense of what's your primary concern with this transaction?
Well, primary concern is Al Jazeera's history. Also where Al Jazeera is located. Al Jazeera is located in Qatar, which is run by the Qatar government. And it's an entity that was basically an enemy of the United States shortly after 9/11. It gave Osama bin Laden a platform, gave him his videos were put on Al Jazeera, and it's basically a mouthpiece for the Muslim Brotherhood.
So, you know, we do agree on some things here, which is that I have a problem with how, particularly the Middle East Al Jazeera, in other words, not Al Jazeera English, does have anti-Semites on, essentially unopposed as experts or as lone authorities on a number of different issues, and I do have a problem with that. But my question to you would be specifically with the Al Jazeera English purchase of current TV, what should happen? Should someone, in your opinion, have blocked this purchase? Or how would you be happy how should this be resolved?
Well, I think that if the United States would have identified our enemies after 9/11, I think that we would have been in a better position to make this a bigger issue than what it currently is. Now, as far as the FCC goes, there's really not a lot that applies here because it's not a broadcast network, it's a cable network. But there is the element of propaganda, and like you mentioned, Yusuf al-Qaradawi is the spiritual head of the Muslim Brotherhood. He's got his own show on the Arabic channel. Now, the Arabic and the English channels both operate out of Doha, Qatar. So to say that they're different entities, I think would be inaccurate, and I think it would be dangerous to assume that. Yusuf al-Qaradawi is an incredibly anti-Semitic individual. He has praised Hitler and has made it clear that he didn't finish the job when it came to World War II. So I think a bigger, broader spotlight on Al Jazeera would be much more effective than just saying it cannot operate here.
The problem is, when we look at some of the words you've used, and I've kind of been keeping track, you've talked about anti-Semitism, and I guess that connects to racism. You've also talked about propaganda. You've also talked about what are the views and what things have management said. The problem is, when we start talking about Al Jazeera English in these terms, we've got to talk about Fox News in these terms, because we've got Roger Ailes on record as early as 1989 talking about the Giuliani campaign, consultant for the Giuliani campaign, making all sorts of attacks about preying on the fears of the Jewish community. We've got Glenn Beck, Bill O'Reilly, Sean Hannity, E.D. Hill, on and on and on, making comments that are certainly Islamophobic and certainly propaganda. We've got Bill Salmon, Fox News executive, on the record basically saying the right-wing propaganda on healthcare will be the talking points for Fox News. If we're going to start banning networks subjectively because of propaganda, Fox News would be the first to go.
Well, I think you're making an assumption that I am going to support Fox News, and I'm not. In fact, I just wrote a piece today about Al-Walid bin Talal, who is the second largest shareholder of News Corp.
Right.
And also Rupert Murdoch owns, Diana West wrote a great piece on this. Rupert Murdoch owns part of bin Talal's company that has media coverage that's pro-jihadist.
No, I wasn't making the assumption you were going to support Fox News. I was merely going to say that the problem that a lot of people have with the Al Jazeera English current TV purchase should apply also to what goes on at Fox News, but I don't see anybody being vocal about that.
Well, you won't see me being you won't see me not being vocal. I have been quite vocal. I will take exception to the notion of Islamophobia, because I think that's a trait that's been ginned up. I think that's a red herring when it comes to the Islamists. I'll give you a perfect example. A guy named Salam al-Mariyati, who is the executive director of the Muslim Public Affairs Council. He, in the year or so, well, on the day of 9/11, was on a Los Angeles radio program and implied that that Israel should be on the suspect list for 9/11. Now, he won't talk like that today, I think, because a lot of the stealth Islamist groups, the Muslim Brotherhood groups in America, as outlined by the Holy Land Foundation trial, and in particular the Islamic Society of North America, a lot of these groups, they have learned that the best way to further their agenda is to reach across the aisle and speak in very what's the word I'm looking for? In very moderate tones. Because when they reach across the aisle, in fact, Mariotti was at a church in California recently for the MPAC annual convention. But what that does is that allows the Islamophobia card to be played. If they're meeting with Jewish groups and Christian groups and screaming Islamophobia, it's more effective. Just
okay, fair enough. But I think that's we could argue specifically and go through examples and counterexamples, but not really the point here. So what should be the policy? What should we do? What would your solution be to Al Jazeera English and Fox News? What would the solution be? Do we block them? Is it legal action? What is it?
Well, Al Jazeera is a foreign entity. Fox News is not. Al Jazeera would be, take the example of the Dubai Ports World deal. There was a government agency, and I forget the name of it, it's CISUS or something, that was charged with investigating the legitimacy of the deal. Now, that deal didn't go through because of bipartisan opposition. It didn't go through because Republicans joined with Democrats to go against George Bush, who supported that deal.
Okay.
In this particular case, I think this is very similar in respect to the potential dangers. Dubai Ports World was an issue about the ports and port security. I think this is an issue about what are the true intentions of this Al Jazeera. And I think that it should be looked into, but it would be nice to see some bipartisan support in opposition to this.
So you want members of Congress to basically come together to just block this?
I want them to investigate it openly and with a lot of transparency. And I think that's what we don't get. We don't get that very often. And I think I think that would go a long way to determining the legitimacy of this deal. It seems to be just not covered as much as it should be.
All right. Ben Barrack is an investigative radio host and blogger. He broadcasts from Central Texas. We will be following up on this issue in part tomorrow in our conversation with Michael Parenti. So we will be following this even more. Ben, thanks very much for being here today.
Thanks, David.